Hi, my name is Sharon. I would like to welcome all of you to my channel. I want to get this channel started off on the right foot, so I am going to be including a small disclaimer in the beginning of this video. There will be some topics that I intend on covering on this channel that may be sensitive to some of my viewers, and I feel like it is my responsibility to let you know that I plan on discussing some things today that are quite sensitive in nature. So if you find yourself being triggered by something I'm talking about, feel free to discontinue watching the video and find something else to watch. But a couple weeks ago, I uploaded an introduction video, and after I'd given it some thought, I decided to remove it due to the simple fact that I did not add a disclaimer onto it. So I am going to re-upload that video and attach this one to it as my disclaimer. But I had every intent on re-recording the introduction video, but shortly after I took the first one down, I fell ill and I lost my voice. So I don't normally sound like this, which is partially another reason why I want to re-upload my original video. My voice should come back here in due time. I will be recording a part 2 to my introduction video, hopefully within the next couple of days. My voice is slowly coming back to me, and I just need to be patient, right? But again, I would like to welcome all of you to my channel, and I hope you guys are having a fantastic weekend. I will talk with all of you soon. Thanks. Hi, y'all. So this is my first video. I am recording from my car. This is my office. Welcome to it. But I am planning on sharing this information with you in a series of videos because it's a lot of information to share, and I think it needs to be broken up a little bit. It gets very heavy and very detailed, and there's a lot of topics I need to cover, and I am really hoping that y'all can benefit from the place that it's coming from, so I can hopefully inspire some of you to stop doing things that are self-destructive, take action in your life, redirect your thinking. If you're struggling with addiction and stuff like that, I want to be able to have you tell yourself, like, you don't need the alcohol anymore. If anything, you need some coffee. You know what I'm saying? But I have to look at my life from a third person. So from a third person perspective, so I don't get emotional. So I am going to be sharing this information with you from that kind of perspective. So I don't want it to sound inauthentic, I guess is a good way to say that. But just to start off, so currently I am 40 years old. I turned 40 last year. It's been interesting for sure. You don't feel old, but you do feel old. You dig? So I live in Colorado. I've lived here my whole life. I don't live in the city that I grew up in, and that is for a specific reason. Things happen in your life and you don't know why until maybe 10 years down the line. And that living arrangement was one of those for me. So anyways, I was adopted when I was 2 months old. I grew up in a middle-class family. Back then there was nothing out here. It was just open space, land. Everybody thought Colorado was like a cow town. So it was just quiet and peaceful, and everybody was nice. The the side streets in the neighborhoods got plowed because there wasn't very much else to do in the wintertime. But, you know, you can go outside and play. We all know that you can no longer do that. Okay. But as I was growing up, I always had this underlying feeling that something was off with my family. You know, I grew up in a Catholic church, and that is another story for another day. But that was something else that was kind of forced upon me that made my feeling of uneasiness amplified. So needless to say, as I grew up, I was in a hurry to get out of my house. I did not want to be there. There was a lot of tension there. My parents fought all the time. I was the only child. I started making some questionable decisions around the time that I was in high school because I got raped when I was younger. And that kind of catapulted my life in a completely different direction. You know, I started kind of partying a little bit. You know, when you're young, you don't really have any coping skills. I grew up in a household where there was constant fighting. So, I mean, I'm not gaining anything productive from the situation that I was in. So I was looking for something else to help me, right? And I can tell you right now, alcohol and drugs are not going to help you. If anything, they're going to make your problems 1,000 times worse, you know, but the alcohol led into me meeting other guys, you know. Anybody that's been raped knows that that takes a piece of you that you almost think you can never get back. But I got pregnant when I was 19. I was with this guy, and we, you know, messing around, whatever, went to the courthouse, got a marriage license that we did not sign. I found out I was pregnant, and I knew I had been drinking heavily, partying, and, you know, not making the best decisions. When I found out I was pregnant, I was 3 months along, and I felt the best thing to do was have an abortion. That is another story also for another day. And if that turns some of y'all off, then you know what? Maybe that's something that you need to look at, you know? You can't judge other people's situations. And that is something that a lot of you need to learn. But anyways, I digress. But you know, a couple years later, about a year and a half later, I found out I was pregnant again, and I decided to keep that baby. So I moved back home with my dad. My parents had divorced by then. They waited until I was 18 years old to get divorced, and everything kind of seemed gravy after that for both of them. But since I never dealt with the first initial rape and the trauma that comes with that, I was seeking my repetitive patterns of partying and drinking and staying out and being promiscuous and doing everything else you could possibly think of. So I went out to a club one night and had a drink at the bar, and I started feeling really, really, really weird. So I tried to find my friend that I went to the bar with, and I could not find her anywhere. So I went outside trying to look for the car that we came in. I was thinking, okay, I can just sit by the car and wait for her to get done, and she can just take me home, right? Because we carpooled there. But I blacked out on the way to where the car was parked. So I woke up very, very late in the afternoon the next day at my dad's house. Had no idea how I got there, right? I was very disheveled. I was surprised I even had my belongings with me. But I went upstairs to go take a shower, and I found a dried condom stuck on my side, right? So I was like, fuck, all right, we got to go do a rape kit because I don't know what the fuck just happened. So I got raped again when I was younger, and that just kind of compounded a lot of the trauma. That's another story to deal with for another day too. So I've been a good person. I'm a person that can shove shit down so far that I don't think about it. But when you do that, it kind of starts coming out in every other aspect of your life. It starts seeping into everything else that you're doing. And that's exactly what happened. I am very mentally unstable, presenting myself properly, working management jobs and whatever, playing the role of being responsible when I was falling apart inside. But I decided to go get a cosmetology license. So I started school and I met some guy there. And we started hanging out a little bit, trying to get to know each other. I had a specific taste in guys back then, and that's like a taste that you kind of got to shake off as you're getting older. I always say my type was a toxic type. You feel me? So he definitely fit that category. But we went out to a club and some shit happened there. And, a couple weeks after that happened, I'm trying to help him. And he blamed me for what happened at the club. And that should have been a red flag for me. But being an empath and truly caring for other people, I felt bad that that's how he felt about the situation, and I wanted to fix it. Well, you can't fix something that doesn't want to fix itself, okay? I'm going to lay that out right now. And it took me 5 years to figure that situation out, right? But that opened door to a whole nother level of crazy, right? Being with this dude. Pretty soon, everything in my life began spiraling out of control. My relationships with my family, my relationships with my friends, I became isolated dealing with this man. I was having a hard time getting to school because I was having to do what he needed me to do. He wanted me around him all the time. I mean, if anybody knows by now that is narcissistic abuse, it is narcissistic abuse. He alienated me from my family. He took me away from my life. He controlled the money. And then when things didn't go his way, everything was my fault. It took me a long time to realize after the fact that I had been sleeping with the devil this entire time, right? They always say like hindsight is 20/20, but the narcissistic tendencies, the manipulation, the abuse, it created more trauma for me, right? and it was a domestic violence situation, right? It took broken teeth, a lacerated liver, a black eye. I can't see out of one of my eyes. And almost my life for me to fucking leave that situation. So, it's like when you're in these situations, it's almost like you have a veil over your eyes, right? You see the destruction, you feel the destruction, but the empathy and the sympathy that you have within makes you blinded enough to stay in it, right? Sorry, I got my little notes here so I don't forget what the fuck I'm doing, right? But I have to tell you right now, when you feel it in your soul that you need to leave a situation, if you have alarm bells going off inside of yourself, you have that little voice in the back of your head telling you need to go, you need to go. I had this man tell me that he was going to kill me. I don't know what else it would have taken for me to leave. And I'll never forget the moment that I realized that he would actually kill me. I was in the shower and I was like, oh, I've got to go. He's going to kill me. You know, he was getting mad at me one time and I hid in the cabinets in the kitchen. So he didn't know where I was. But I didn't see him after that. You know, he tried to kill me, and that's another story too for another day. But the lesson that I learned from that is you cannot fix somebody that doesn't want to fix themselves. Okay? And because of this relationship and how toxic it was, my father alienated me from my child. And, you know, there's good reasons for that and bad reasons for that. But this was a little bit of a different situation. I was alienated from my child by my father until she was 18 years old. Okay? I stopped talking to that man when she was like 3 years old. Okay? So clearly there are other issues going on here. And I'll never forget the day that it dawned on me that my father was the one that instigated all the issues between me and my daughter's family. He told the court system that I was the problem and he blocked me from being a parent. To him, it wasn't about what was best for my daughter. It was about control and dominance. Okay? You go from one narcissistic relationship to another, to another, to another. And I can 100% confidently say that every relationship I've been in my entire life has been with a narcissist. All right? And my life was designed this way. I was presented to this family dynamic that was narcissistic, you know? So you're going to gravitate towards what you know. If you don't know, if you've never been shown how to be healthy, you're not going to attract healthy. It makes no sense for a healthy person to be with an unhealthy person. It's not going to work. So that's another lesson too. All right. Moral of the story is you need to work on yourself to get healthy. If you have trauma, if you have all this other stuff, you need to work on it. Okay? Because you cannot run from it. Because it will seep into every aspect of your life. But my father, being the narcissist, he, heaven forbid, he takes any accountability whatsoever. Everything that went wrong, he blamed me for. And you know, hindsight now, he did the same thing to my mother. He turned my mother's family against her. God only knows what he did beforehand, before he met my mom. But what he did to my mom, he did to me. But little does he know, him and his little flying monkeys, he did me a favor by showing me who does not belong in my life. And they were removed. To this day, my daughter's dad, you know, thinks I'm just some addict and when he's the one that has drugs in his house. That's another story too, right? But that's projection and that's narcissism. You know, I'm going to end this video with this portion. And I have to say, through all the heartache and the pain and the trauma. I owe everything to Yahweh and Yeshua, because if it wasn't for them, I would not be where I'm at right now. And I would not be able to help any of you guys get out of the fucking situations that you're in. Y'all don't need to be drinking, alright? You need to say, I need some motherfucking coffee, okay? Need some motherfucking water, need some space. You need something other than a substance, okay? The narcissist pretty much sums up my entire life experience with men, alright? And it's unfortunate, but that was necessary for me to create the boundaries within myself and to create the boundaries in relationships. So I have the ability to show you and tell you how to get out of a toxic relationship. Someone I know said just the other day, if you could help someone get out of a situation in 10 seconds by sharing a lesson that took you 10 years to learn, you need to share it. So here I am. But yeah, I got stories for days. And I hope y'all's like listening to my introduction to myself. But my name is Sharon. Sharon is Karen to an extent, but she ain't really caring. Do you feel me? So with that, I hope to talk to you guys later.